So today's topic is pleural effusion. So in today's session, we are going to learn about what is pleural effusion, types of pleural effusion, etiology, pathology, diagnostic finding, management, and homeopathic management. So before starting with what is exactly the pleural effusion, this is the normal structure. This we already saw in our previous session. The pleura. The pleura is the vital part of the respiratory tract whose role is to for the cushion of the lung and reduce the friction which may develop between the lung cage and the chest cavity. So you are able to see there are the two type of the layer. See in the image, visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. So what is parietal pleura? So parietal pleura basically covers the inside of the thorax, mediastinum and the diaphragm, whereas visceral pleura covers the surface of the lung. So visceral pleura covers the surface of the lung, whereas parietal pleura covers the inside of the like thorax, mediastinum, and diaphragm. In between the pleura, there is the space which is called as the pleural space. So this is the space between the two layer which called as the pleural space. Okay. So normally the pleural space contains the 3.5 to 7.0 ml of the clear liquid, low protein content, small number of the mononuclear cell. This is the normal in which the pleural space contain. So in the image, you're able to see the trachea, pleura, lung. Pleural effusion occur basically in the lower side of the lung. So this pleural space which contain the fluid, it acts as a lubricant that allow the pleural surface to move without the friction. But if the fluid build up, so if the fluid is either increased or either decreased or inadequate, so the pleural effusion occur. Okay, so by definition, what is the pleural effusion? Pleural effusion described as an excess of fluid in the pleural cavity, usually resulting from an imbalance in the normal rate of the pleural fluid production or absorption or both. So you can see this is the normal lung, this is the inflamed lung. You can see the inflamed outer parietal pleura or inflamed visceral pleura and the pleural effusion in a yellowish. Okay, this is the fluid production which called as the pleural effusion. So pleural effusion is a condition we refer when the collection of the fluid in the pleural space, any type of the collection of the fluid, and it basically almost secondary to the other condition. So when this fluid collect in a pleural space, it can impair the breathing, and it also limited the expansion of the lung during the respiration. So generally when they impair the breathing, it causes the dyspnea type of the symptoms or the chest pain of type of the symptoms. When these pleural effusion occur, so basically the common condition is cardiac heart failure, bacterial pneumonia, malignancy, that is chest tumor, or the pulmonary emboli. So what happened in the CHF? In the CHF, when there is a failure, there is increased interstitial fluid in the lung, and it elevated the pulmonary capillary pressure. So when the pulmonary capillary pressure increase, it causes increase in the interstitial fluid, which leads to the pleural effusion. Whereas in bacterial pneumonia, like it's very common. You can see in the 40 to 60% patients who's having a bacterial pneumonia, the complication is the pleural effusion. One of the complication is pleural effusion. So in many patients, you see that when the patient is suffering from the bacterial pneumonia. So in a bacterial pneumonia, they causes the fluid to build up in the thin space, like between the layer of the tissue. Whereas in a cancer, that is in a chest tumor or the malignancy, that cancerous cells grows in the pleural space and it causes the pleural effusion. And in pulmonary emboli, like in the CHF, pulmonary emboli also increase the interstitial fluid, and it also causes the ischemia. Obviously, when the emboli is there in the capillary or in the pleural space, it causes the ischemia. So the blood circulation is not proper, and patients suffering from the dyspnea, chest pain, weakness, fever, infection, these type of the symptoms come up. But the pleural effusion generally occurs because of these conditions. There are different other conditions also we will see. So there are two types of the pleural effusion. Which are they? So first is the transudate effusion and the second is the exudate effusion. Okay. See in the normal image. This is the normal image. Okay. Where there is an increased hydrostatic pressure and the decreased colloid osmotic pressure, and this is the plasma protein. So you see the pleura is intact, visceral pleura or the parietal pleura is intact. All the cells are into intact position in a normal. What happened in the transudate? There is increased hydrostatic pressure. So increased hydrostatic pressure is due to the any condition like CHF की वजह से हो सकता है या फिर embolism की वजह से हो सकता है. So there is increased hydrostatic pressure and there is decreased colloid osmotic pressure. So decreased protein synthesis and it causes a leakage of the fluid. Okay. Whereas in exudate there is high protein content and may contain some of the white and red cell. In a exudate, fluid as well as protein also leak. It due to the vasodilatation and the stasis, or there is the increased pressure on the space. So vasodilatation and the stasis or the pressure increase, it may be because of the inflammation. Generally in exudate, all the conditions occur because of the inflammation. Whereas in transudate, these conditions occur because of the non-inflammatory process. We are going to see the detail about transudate and the exudate. So what is transudate effusion? So transudate effusion occur because of fluid leaking into the pleural space. So this is the form of increased pressure in the blood vessels or a low blood protein count. Whereas transudate pleural effusion develops when there is either excess production of the pleural fluid or the reabsorption of the capacity is reduced. As I earlier said, it occurs primarily in the non-inflammatory condition. A transudate pleural effusion occurs when alteration in the systemic factor that influence the pleural fluid movement, which resulting in the pleural effusion. For example, if we see in the CHF, if the left heart failure occurs, there is elevated visceral pleural capillary pressure, and elevated pleural capillary pressure when increased, there is ultimately to the pleural effusion. Whereas in right heart failure, there is elevated of the parietal pleural capillary pressure, which also lead to the pleural effusion, which called as the transudate effusion. So generally these conditions are when the transudate effusion occur in a congestive heart failure, hepatic disease with ascites, nephrotic syndrome, peritoneal dialysis, or the hypovoleminemia. So generally the kidney disorder, in a heart condition or in a liver type of the condition, generally transudate effusion occur. So causes of the transudate effusion, maybe it decreases the hydrostatic pressure or it decreases the oncotic pressure. So when there is an increased hydrostatic pressure and decreased oncotic pressure, the fluid shift to the interstitial space and it causes the pleural effusion. What is hydrostatic pressure and what is oncotic pressure? So generally, oncotic pressure is a form of osmotic pressure exerted by the protein either in the blood plasma or the interstitial fluid, and the hydrostatic pressure is generated by the pressure of the fluid by the capillary wall. It may be hydrostatic pressure is increased because of the interstitial fluid or by the capillary wall. So when increased hydrostatic pressure occur and there is decreased oncotic pressure, fluid shift to the interstitial space and it lead to the pleural effusion. pH level is 7.4 to 7.55. Specific gravity is less than 1.015 and protein content is less than 3 gram per 100 ml. Glucose level is equal to the serum plasma. So what is exudative effusion? So exudative effusion occurs when the pleura is damaged. So whenever the cause is, if the pleura is damaged, it causes the exudate effusion. So the damage is maybe due to the trauma, infection, or the malignancy. So exudate effusion occur in the area of the inflammation where there is accumulation of the high protein fluid, and these effusion result from there is the increased capillary permeability, which is characterized of the inflammatory reaction. So remember, this is the important difference between exudate and the transudate. So transudate effusion occur because of the non-inflammatory process, whereas exudate effusion occur because of the inflammatory reaction. So generally, these type of the effusion occurs secondary to the different condition. These are the mainly the causes of the exudate effusion. It may cause cancer, heart failure, cirrhosis, nephrotic, sarcoidosis, tuberculosis, pulmonary infection, subphrenic abscess, pancreatitis, bacterial and the fungal pneumonia, empyema. These are the common causes of the exudate effusion. Subphrenic abscess generally occur because of after the surgery, generally after the splenectomy, the subphrenic abscesses occur. So what is the pathophysiology of the exudate effusion? There is invasion of the microbes which causes the inflammatory reaction, which initiate the inflammatory reaction, and it is causes the vasodilatation which increases the capillary permeability. हम लोगों ने वो image में देखा how that vasodilatation occur, and it causes the capillary permeability, and there is leakage of plasma protein. When the plasma proteins leakage occur, there is decrease oncotic pressure, and that fluid shift into the interstitial space, and it causes the effusion. Characteristic of the effusion: it is often turbid, bloody, or purulent. pH is less than 7.3. Specific gravity is more than 1.016. Protein content is more than 3 gram per 100 ml. Glucose level is less than 60 mg per dl, and it contains a high protein fluid. Okay. So when we talk about the effusion or the pleural effusion, generally when that fluid collected into the pleural cavity, generally these fluid are four type of. So the accumulation in the pleural space, it may be the serous fluid, blood, pus, or the chyle. So when the serous fluid is collected, we call it as the hydrothorax. When the blood is collected or accumulate in the pleural cavity, we call it as the hemothorax. And when the pus is collected or accumulated in the pleural cavity, we call it as the pyothorax or empyema. And when the chyle, what is chyle? It's a milky bodily fluid which consists of the lymph or the impulsive fat, that is the free fatty acid. So it is formed in the small intestine during the digestion of the fatty fluid. So generally it develops because of lymphatic fluid which accumulate in the pleural cavity. Okay, so we call it as the chylothorax. So whenever we see there is accumulation of the pleural cavity, the fluid may be the pus, chyle, or the blood, or the serous fluid. Clinical manifestation. Generally, these symptoms present in every patient when the patient is complaining of the pleural effusion. So the clinical presentation of the pleural effusion, it's depend upon the amount of fluid present and the underlying cause. So the underlying cause is very important. So what causes a pleural effusion? Because it is secondary to the certain condition. So this is very important. So patient may have, if there is a pleural effusion in a limited amount or in a very small amount, patient may or may not have the symptoms also. So generally we see the symptoms of the chest pain. We also called as the pleuritic chest pain. Dyspnea, that is breathlessness. Non-productive cough. When we called as the chest pain, the pain is very sharp. It is increased by movement as the deep inspiration, and it also coughing and the sneezing and the fever. When there is fluid collection or there is less fluid collection occurs, there is friction, and which causes a chest pain and also causes a dyspnea and the cough. Fever, also the weight loss is one of the symptoms of pleural effusion. On examination, you can able to auscultate there is a decreased breath sound, there is dullness on percussion and vocal premiters. You can see there is a decreased vocal premiters. So what is vocal premiters? As you see in the image. So we have to told the patient to sit erect, and then these we perform by placing either edge or the flat of your hand on the chest, and we tell patient to say 9 9 or count 1 2 3. So when we say patient to 9 9 or count 1 2 3 or om, so the vibration generated. So these vibration are transmitted through the lung substance, and these vibration we can feel in our hand. Okay. So for example, if the patient is suffering from pleural effusion on the left side of the lung. So when we do the focal parameters, you can see there is decreased breath sound on the left side, but there is you can feel the vibration on the right side, but you cannot feel the vibration on the left side. So this is the important test we done in case of the pleural effusion. And also by examination you can able to see certain type of the disease condition if there these conditions present, like cancer, pneumonia, cirrhosis, or any other heart failure condition. How we diagnose the patient? History taking is important in any type of the condition, any type of the respiratory condition, which is almost important in the pleural effusion. Why? Because pleural effusion generally caused because secondary to the other condition. If the patient is coming to you with a complaining of pain, chest pain, or any type of the breathlessness, coughing, non-productive cough, you have to ask whether patient is suffering from pneumonia, whether patient is suffering from renal, or whether patient is suffering from chest tumor, cardiac. So this history taking is very important, because when we do the history taking, as earlier say, if the patient is suffering from pneumonia, you are able to test the pneumonia or any whether this is the complication of the pleural effusion or not. So history is very important. Otherwise, we miss this diagnosis or miss this pleural effusion. Second is physical examination. So there is decrease or absent breath sound. There is, we can see the decreased parameters, vocal parameters, and dull flat sound when we percussed. Okay. So history taking and physical examination is important. Third is the chest X-ray. It's almost the diagnostic chest X-ray we can see in the pleural effusion. You can see this is the white spot part. Okay, so in chest X-ray, you can see there, you can directly see the pleural effusion on which side, on what lobe, and in chest X-ray also you can able to see the trachea. Did you see? So there is shifting of the trachea on the either side. Even the mediastinum is shifted to the one side. This is the characteristics of the pleural effusion. We also do the USG of the thorax, ultrasonography of the thorax. So if even the small amount of the pleural effusion we can detect in the ultrasonography. So you can see in the USG there is a lever, pleural effusion. This is the normal, okay, and this is the effusion. You can able to see the minute effusion also in the ultrasonography of the thorax. Generally, we don't go for the USG of the thorax. If we have a doubt whether the patient having the pleural effusion or any other complaint of a chest, then we go for the USG. Otherwise, the important is history taking, physical examination, and the chest X-ray. CT scan. In CT scan also you are able to see the effusion. The important is thoracocentesis. So what is thoracocentesis? This is the procedure we done for investigation of the fluid, pleural fluid, and even for the management purpose, we do the thoracocentesis. So what we do, we tell patient to sit in this position, okay, and there is 1 to 2 intercostal space below the upper level of the pleural fluid in the mid capillary line, or 5 to 10 centimeter lateral to the spine. So we insert these type of the injection and we collect a fluid. So this is the tube and this is where the fluid is collected. So by fluid collection we can taste the fluid, and by testing we can able to understand the pH level, we can able to understand the specific gravity, color, whether it is blood, whether it is pus, or whether it is the serous fluid. We able to understand this by doing the thoracocentesis. Okay. This procedure also done for the management purpose. We will see. So the main objective of the treatment, what is the underlying cause, how to prevent the reaccumulation of the fluid, because when there is a pleural effusion occur, there is a chances it again reaccumulate. So we have to prevent that, and also we have to relieve the discomfort, dyspnea, respiratory compromise, maintaining the oxygen and facilitating the drainage. We have the one patient who is like 50 years old patient who come to us with complaining of same chest pain and severe chest pain on the left side. There is dyspnea and patient is unable to breathe, fever, recurrent type of the fever. So we are confused between what is exactly the cause. It is a cardiac origin or the pulmonary origin. Then by auscultation we able to sound there is decreased breath sound. Also we heard there is abnormal heart sound. So we go for the X-ray. So when we do the X-ray, we able to understand that okay, patient is suffering from the pleural effusion. So as the pleural effusion we detect where is the pleural effusion, what amount or what type of the fluid. We don't know what type of the fluid it is. So we go for the procedure like thoracocentesis. So when we do that thoracocentesis, after again 15 days, patient came back. She is on the homeopathic medicines, but after 15 days also she came back. And again she is complaining of the same, which relieved her complaint initially, but after complaining of the same dyspnea, fever, breathlessness, and we saw the particular sign that there is a edema. There is edema, pedal edema of her feet, and it's very severe. So when the pedal edema occurs, we thought about the what is exactly the cause behind that. Because initially when we asked her history, we actually neglect the history because we know there is a pleural effusion. So we not go for the deep history taking. But then we asked her the deep, we able to understand that her pleural effusion occurred because of the cardiac origin. Okay, so they have to treat her cardiac cause also, and we have to treat her pleural effusion also. So you see, the history taking is very important. If we are not taking history properly, we may miss the diagnosis also, and we miss the treatment part also. So history taking is important. So in the pleural effusion, we do the symptomatic treatment. So I say if the patient is suffering from TB, we give the treatment for TB. If patient is suffering from malignancy, we give the malignancy treatment. If pneumonia, bacterial pneumonia, we give the treatment of the bacterial pneumonia, and we do the thoracocentesis. Okay, this is the important procedure we do. Like thoracocentesis, it is a pleural tap, which also called as the thoracostomy, or the needle decompression, is an invasive medical procedure to remove the fluid or the air from the pleural space for diagnostic or the therapeutic purpose. It is performed to remove the fluid for the investigation, to obtain the specimen for analysis, and automatically when there is excess fluid and when it released, it relieves the dyspnea and even the discomfort. So respiratory compromise also relieved. So you see, there is fluid collection in this bag. So सबको समझ में आया thoracocentesis procedure? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. This is the important procedure we done in the pleural effusion. Okay. Without that, if the pleural like pleural space में अगर पूरा फ्लूइड अगर जमा है तो हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर सकते. ओके. इवन विद द मेडिसिन वो जो फ्लूइड जो जमा हुआ है वो हम लोग नहीं निकाल पाते. Like if the patient coming with a pain or patient coming with a breathlessness, we can able to symptomatically treat the patient. But if the collection of the fluid is more than the 17 ml, so then we have to like remove that fluid. So for the fluid collection, this is the one of the best procedures we done. Okay. So what are the complications of the pleural effusion? So if the large effusion occur, a large fluid collection, it lead to the respiratory failure, pneumothorax, lung scarring. Lung scarring is like there is a scarring formation in the lung tissue if we do some type of the procedure. So it causes the scarring. So these are the one of the complication of the pleural effusion. Emphysema, sepsis, and ultimately the death. Death like occur in pleural effusion is generally due to the sepsis only, due to the infection. If in the pleural cavity there is fluid collection and that fluid collection is किसी भी कारण से sepsis होता है. For example, if we condition take a malignancy, अगर malignancy की वजह से अगर sepsis formation हो रहा है, infection formation हो रहा है, then it lead to the death. So there are the homeopathic management of the pleural effusion. So what are these? So main aim of the homeopathy is not only to treat the pleural effusion or the pleurisy, but to address its underlying cause and the individual susceptibility. So you all know that we all are individual person, we all are susceptibility are different. So we have to address first the underlying cause and the individual susceptibility. So as far as the therapeutic medicine is concerned, several remedies are available to treat the pleurisy. That can be selected on the basis of the cause, sensation, and the modality of the complaint. So for example, arsenic album, arsenic iode, kali carb, phosphorus, even cannabis, carbovage, these type of the remedies we generally give to the pleural effusion. Even the aconite. So in the aconite condition, we see the severe fever with stitching type of the pain on a fixed spot of the thorax. It is worse by the breathing, grasping, coughing, sneezing with a superficially short and hurried respiration. And we see there is increased pulse rate and great thirst. These are the common symptoms of the aconite. So when we indicate the arsenic album, there the serous effusion in pleura. There is great weakness which tendency to faint, dyspnea. Dyspnea occur because obviously there is accumulation of the fluid in the chest. Patient is constantly fear of death with a great thirst, and also we see the dropsical swelling. Arsenic iode. Arsenic iode indicate in the pleuritic exudation. There is a great emaciation and the prostration. There is dull sound which on the percussion. Breathing is too rapid even when at the rest. And there is aggravation on the exertion and there is sound of the wheezing. So even on the pneumonia condition, even on the asthmatic condition, we indicate the arsenic iode. Especially if the pleural effusion occur after because of the bacterial pneumonia or after the complication of the pneumonia, generally indicate the ars iode. And in the ars iode, there is frequent short and the suppressed cough, which often loose and heaviness of the lid with weariness of the whole body. So the weakness is the prominent of the ars iode. And even after the pneumonia, generally we indicate the ars iode. Obviously, after understanding the symptomatic of the patient, susceptibility of the patient. Any question? Good. Then I will end here, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Please send me the attendance, okay?
Yes, ma'am.